The nuclear codes or something. Nuclear documents. Is that what it is? On Twitter, they're saying that Donald Trump had like the nuclear codes and other nuclear information. And so that required the DOJ to intervene to protect this nation. The Washington Post, citing a couple anonymous sources, says FBI searched Trump's home to look for nuclear documents and other items, sources say. And if you believe this, I got a bridge to sell you. Now, hold on. I'm not saying I can definitively state this is false. I'm just saying, I don't know, wait until the DOJ actually releases this, unseals the search warrant before believing what the Washington Post has to say, especially because many people on Twitter are going insane trying to claim that it was like the nuclear launch codes. Yeah, those are in the nuclear football. And if anything, if there is some truth to this, it's going to turn out to be something totally innocuous, like a memo about someone saying something like we should get the nuclear weapons reviewed or something like that. There's going to be a memo where it's like maintenance begins on January 3rd. And you're like, okay. And then they're going to be like, well, nuclear documents. There's a question right now. Gallup asked, what's driving? Well, I love this article. It's all related, mind you. What's driving record low trust in media? Heavens. They had to talk to Wesley Lowery about what's causing record low trust in media. Could it be that the Washington Post has no legitimate standards for how they report news, and all of these big outlets get things wrong over and over again, and they get certified 100 out of 100 by NewsGuard? Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because if timcast.com were to come out and claim that we had two official sources asserting that, Donald Trump did a backflip, they'd be like, clearly it's fake news. But when the Washington Post does it, they're like, factual and responsible. The media is fake news. You are fake news, as Trump said to these people. All right, let's read the Washington Post story. And then I want to talk about the fake news. All right, so the Washington Post says classified documents relating to nuclear weapons were among the items FBI agents sought in a search of former President Donald Trump's Florida residence on Monday, according to people familiar with the investigation. Experts in classified information said the unusual search underscores deep concerns among government officials about the types of information they thought could be located at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club and potentially in danger of falling into the wrong hands. I'm already seeing conservatives be like, they're going to claim Trump leaked to Russia nuclear information. The people who described some of the material that agents were seeking spoke on the condition of anonymity. The people. To discuss an ongoing investigation. They did not offer additional details about what type of information the agents were seeking, including whether it involved weapons belonging to the United States or some other nation. Oh, there you go. There it is. Come on. Fake news. Not necessarily fake news, but look at the way they frame this. Trump's home to look for nuclear documents and other items. Nuclear documents? That framing implies it is American nuclear documents. If they said documents pertaining to nuclear weapons in the United States or otherwise, people would have said something totally different. They say, nor did they say if such documents were recovered as part of the search. A Trump spokesman did not respond to a request for comment. The Justice Department and FBI declined to comment. Sources. The people who describe some of the material on the condition of anonymity. So, you know what I love about anonymous sources? Am I supposed to just believe you, the Washington Post? Here's how I explain it to people. We could get a quote from someone close to Nancy Pelosi's office who tells us that, I don't know, she kicks dogs. And then we could report like a source close to Nancy Pelosi's office says that she kicks dogs. And it sounds like we're saying someone who's like working within Congress or something like that, but it could literally be like the homeless guy in the alley behind her office. He's physically close to her office and he made this claim. Therefore, it's confirmed by our anonymous source. Yeah, you see how they play these dirty games? They say Attorney General Merrick Garland said Thursday that he could not discuss the investigation, but in an unusual public statement at the Justice Department, he announced he had personally authorized the decision to seek court permission for a search warrant. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to say revenge. That's what I said yesterday when the news broke. Revenge. Yeah, he was going to be in the Supreme Court. He's probably so excited. And the Republicans blocked him. So, yeah, revenge. Garland spoke moments after the DOJ lawyers filed a motion seeking to unseal the search warrant in the case, noting that Trump had publicly revealed the search shortly after it happened. Quote, "The public's clear and powerful interest in understanding what occurred under these circumstances weighs heavily in favor of unsealing. That said, the former president should have an opportunity to respond to this motion and lodge objections, including with regards to any legitimate privacy interests or the potential for other injury if these materials are made public." Late Thursday night, Trump said on social media that he agreed the documents should be made public. In another post early Friday, he called the nuclear weapons issue a hoax and accused the FBI of planting evidence without offering information to indicate such a thing had happened. I don't believe he accused the FBI. He said maybe they were doing this. He said they want to play these games because they always love to do this thing without evidence. Trump says without evidence. Yeah, the Washington Post says literally right now without evidence that they believe the documents may be nuclear related or something like that. They have no evidence. I love how the media does this. Trump said agents did not allow his lawyers to be present for the search, which is not unusual in a law enforcement operation, especially if it potentially involves classified items. Material about nuclear weapons is especially sensitive and usually restricted to a small number of government officials, experts said. Publicizing details about U.S. weapons could provide an intelligence roadmap to adversaries seeking to build ways of countering those systems. And other countries might view exposing their nuclear secrets as a threat, experts said. Okay, you see? Let me give you a walkthrough on how they do this. First, they assert without evidence. You see how I did that? They assert without evidence the documents may be nuclear documents. What that means, we don't know. Could it be the United States? Could it be any other country? Could it be a nuclear document from, I don't know, Uruguay, where they're like, we want to entertain the possibility of nuclear power? No idea. Could it be something to do with like a nuclear something? No idea. Nuclear power plant? Nuclear technology? We don't know. Then they go on to say, it could be really dangerous if nuclear weapon information was released. This is news? This is what passes off as fact-based news? Speculation built upon speculation without evidence? Amazing. An anonymous source says maybe nuclear. Could that be weapons? Maybe. Could that be American weapons? Wow, it could be. That would be really dangerous for America. Wow, experts say this could create a real threat. There's no news here. Absolutely amazing. Washington Post. Jeez. One former Justice Department official, who in the past oversaw investigations of leaks of classified information, said the type of top secret information described by people familiar with the probe would probably cause authorities to try to move as quickly as possible. What is this? One DOJ official in the past oversaw investigations, said the type of top secret information described by people familiar with the probe would probably cause authorities. This is incredible. Why don't people trust the media anymore? Okay, so check it out. I know a guy, okay, he's close to Nancy Pelosi's office, and he says she kicked a dog. Now, I talked to another guy who said if that was true, then PETA would be really angry. What? How is any of this news? It's like I asked a guy who we won't reveal who they are, claiming this may have been nuclear related. Now, we don't know if it's the United States or otherwise, but we then went to another expert who doesn't know these experts, who doesn't know what they said, and asked them, if this was true and what they said was true, what do you think would happen? They're writing more about this? I'm not going to read this garbage. This is fake news. This is outright fake news. Let me just stress what they're doing right. I'm flabbergasted. The people who described some of the material that agents were seeking spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss. So they're not even the agents in question. So a couple people, we don't know who they are, who are not the ones who are actually the agents seeking materials, are telling us this is what it might be, but we're not going to tell you what it's actually related to. So the Washington Post then speculates, but what if? Let me give a shout out to our good friends over at Family Guy. It is actual excellent bit where the news anchor, Tom Tucker, is like, here's the plane didn't crash, but here's what it would have looked like if the plane did. And then it shows a plane crash. And like, here's what it would have looked like if a plane crashed into a school full of deaf children. And then it shows a plane crash into a school. And here's what it would have looked like if a plane crashed into a school full of bunnies. And then it shows a crash and then bunnies run out. I appreciate the joke. This is what the media does. I'm sorry, man. I have often said that when it comes to Alex Jones, he will take a morsel of truth and then stretch it too far. This is worse than that. It's like, I'm so frustrated with all this garbage. I know tons of people who work for government. I know, the things I could say with my sources. I've received emails. Let me put it this way. An email received by timcast.com from an anonymous source alleges that the FBI is fractured, split between rogue elements. Now, I went and spoke with a national security expert who said that assuming this is all true, it would mean what? Yes, I've received emails from people who work in federal law enforcement, or at least claim to. I don't come out and report on the things they say definitively or is confirmed because I don't know. But the Washington Post can be like some guy who claims to know what the agents were looking for. Is this a joke? Not even the agents? Wonderful. Why don't people? What's driving record low trust in news media? Oh boy, oh geez, I wonder. We'll throw it to our good friend Scott Adams. Scott Adams said, if you believe Trump squirreled away some nuclear secrets at Mar-a-Lago and refused to return them because you heard the Washington Post say two anonymous sources that CNN can't confirm told them it was true, I'll give you some useful context. And he posts, how many of these hoaxes do you still believe are true? The Russian collusion hoax. We now know that there was fabricated evidence and good reason for the FBI to stop their investigation, and they didn't. The Steele dossier hooker story. Yeah, people actually believed Trump hired ladies of the night to urinate on a bed because Obama was going to sleep in it or something like that. Russia paying bounties on U.S. soldiers. That was debunked. Trump called neo-Nazis very fine people. That was fake news, and we always knew it was fake news, but it's not going to stop Joe Biden from lying. Trump said, and I'm not talking about the white nationalists and the neo-Nazis because they should be condemned totally. Trump suggested drinking and injecting bleach to fight COVID. Never did. Never did. Yeah, Trump was, I think it's fair to point out, Trump was asking a question, not instructing, and we were talking about disinfectants. I believe it was Birx or some other officials were talking about disinfectants that can be used to stop COVID. And Trump said, is there something we can do like that, a disinfectant that you could maybe inject or something like that? He never said drink or inject bleach. And Trump's question was, I roll my eyes and say, look, I can respect someone asking a question if they really don't know. I'm not going to condemn someone for asking. But there really is UV light therapy where when you have respiratory illnesses, they have experimented with taking a UV light and putting it down your trachea. So it's like Trump actually asked an interesting question, albeit we kind of roll our eyes at it. How about this one? He overfed koi fish in Japan. He didn't. He was doing what Shinzo Abe did. He followed suit. The media manipulated the video. Crazy. Trump cleared protesters with tear gas for a Bible photo op. That was fake news. In fact, even NewsGuard says that was fake news. Hunter's laptop was Russian disinformation. Several NewsGuard certified sources say it is verified. Elections were fair because no court found major fraud. The lawsuits were blocked based on standing, not merit. But as per the fraud stuff, I'm still waiting for evidence, which there's some questions, but that I believe is an entirely a media manipulation across the board. January 6th was an insurrection to overthrow the government. Yeah. January 6th, a few hundred people rioted and they should be criminally charged. Trump tried to grab the steering wheel of the beast. I just love how they make these stories up. I can't stand the fraud narrative, though, regardless of whether or not you don't like the media. Because let me put it this way. Conspiracy theories, you start from point A and you move forward. This is my point. I remember back in the days of the 9/11 truth stuff. And this is really important in the context of fake news and media literacy. People would say, what really happened was this. And I would be like, no, dude. It's fair to say the government did not release all relevant information pertaining to 9/11, so we don't have the full true story. Why would we? Imagine the government coming out being like, we'd like to give you a list of all of the security failures that we engaged in that allowed our country to be attacked. No, of course they won't. So I don't believe the official narrative 100%. I just don't know. When it comes to the fraud narrative stuff, my response to everybody is simply this. Believe whatever you want to believe. I personally don't think so. However, I've seen the accusations from 2000 Mules, and I say that's point A. Stop. Excellent points being brought up and questions being asked. Now it's time for the inquiry. Now it's time for the investigation into accusations and probable cause or circumstantial evidence. But for the time being, what I can't stand is people definitively stating that there was major fraud and all that stuff. And it's like, dude, y'all need to win first, which means you need to encourage everybody to go vote. And you need to stop. I think the fraud narrative is voter suppression. I'm not the only one who thinks so. Several prominent Trump supporters saying the same thing. Stop. Here's my position. Get everybody to go vote. Then once you get Marjorie Taylor Greene or Carrie Lake in, whatever, then they can do what they want to do. I'm in favor of investigations, but I'm not in favor of jumping to conclusions about what you think happened. Cite the probable cause that makes you ask questions, and then you move forward with that. Anyway, I digress. All of these are excellent points. This is why people don't believe the media. Because they lie, and they lie a lot. They lie, and they lie a lot. FBI search Trump's home to look for nuclear documents, sources say. How is this news? How is it? It's remarkable. When NewsGuard raided Timcast, and you may have heard me talk about it, they claimed that because we factually quoted the president in a statement he made, we were irresponsible. This is responsible? Sources claim something that you can't verify, and so you're just like, okay, well, the news is the sources said it. Yeah, well, when we come out and say the news is the president said it, we get dinged. I won't stand for this stuff. But you know what, man? I will give you all the opportunity to take a drink right now by bringing up civil war. This is what drives it. Twofold. One, the FBI searching Trump's home, crossing the Rubicon, according to George Conway. I'll just cite him and make sure I quote. You know, it's always he was the one who said it. But also the media lying about the severity of what this is, or irresponsibly claiming nuclear documents. What, you want people to go nuts thinking that Trump's giving away nuclear codes and secrets? Yeah, I'm sorry. You just watch where this goes. The other night, someone mentioned on Timcast IRL that Joe Rogan said he thought Tim Pool was crazy for thinking a civil war could be coming. And then he said, maybe he's right. And so I said, send it to Ian. And we'll pull this up. So I retweeted it. This is from Joe Rogan's show. And I need to make some very serious points about what's going on. And I'm going to play this clip.
It's scary shit.
It's fucking, it really is. I mean,
this stuff was going through my head when I did the stupid essay in 2017. And at the time, it was like, even saying that out loud, even being like, there could be a civil war, was like, felt insane.
Insane.
But I'm like,
not to me.
Look at, like, just play the movie forward. Like, what happens?
Tim Pool said that on my podcast years ago, and I thought he was just going way too over the top. He said, I think we're going to civil war. I'm like, what the fuck? Come on, man. Relax. But now I'm like, ooh, maybe he was right. I mean,
let's not, though. It would be better if we could. If
for
we could
sure.
Not.
Let's
by
not.
a wide margin.
By a wide margin. Let's not. But at least we are most certainly in some sort of a battle of ideas that is so uncharitable and so rigid in its, it's.
I heard this, and what was interesting to me is the idea that I might be right, and I might be wrong. Yeah, that's what Joe said, and tremendous respect. I'm grateful for the shout out and the reference, because I've been talking about civil war quite a bit. In 2011, I was told by some prominent journalist professors and news organizations that I had the unfortunate privilege of being ahead of the market. The things that I had been working on were too advanced for the news agencies to adopt. I was doing mobile live streaming on the ground, and I was getting thousands of followers, millions of followers, hundreds of millions of views. Like, it was really crazy, the extent to which this mobile live streaming reached around the world. And they said, we don't know how to incorporate whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't work with our TV. It doesn't work with our websites. And I'm like, bro, hire a couple guys, give them phones and batteries, send them on the ground. You pay them, $70K a year or something. They're reporters. And then you are going to have on your website, on your social media. And they were just like, we don't make money doing that. We don't care to do it. Today, or I should say years ago, I was talking about how I think we are on track for a civil war. Joe Rogan says, come on, you're crazy. Now he's saying I might be right. I would just say this. Joe's not a culture warrior like I am and like many of you are. And so he's not paying attention to the same stuff that we are. His conversations are more over the top, surface level with a variety of individuals, whereas Timcast IRL is actually looking at the news of the day, like up to date, and even having some breaking news. Rarely, but sometimes. So first I'll say there's a reason people listen to Joe Rogan, because they're real authentic conversations. But there's man, I just got to say, like, when Joe starts saying, like, man, maybe we are heading in this direction, this is where the market is catching up to what I've been saying for some time. And that's why I point out that Joe saying Tim might be right. Might be right. I didn't say 100% the war will begin this time, or something like that. I've often, and I typically do hedge. And if I haven't, I'm not going to pretend that every single one of my quotes and statements on this has been perfect. But no, I am right. I am right when I said we are on track for a civil war. It doesn't mean one will occur, but it means you look at the Spanish Civil War, you look at Weimar Germany, you look at the 1860s, or you look at Bleeding Kansas. And I am right when I say the things we are seeing now are indicative of an escalating civil conflict and potential civil war. But I'm not trying to be like, I'm so right. I'm trying to say there are numerous professors, security experts who have brought these things up that I've read and then reiterated and added my view after reading, excerpts from history. So my point is just this, that Joe didn't believe me back then, but now he's thinking I might be right. When I said I think we're heading towards civil war. No. It's fair to say, simply put, when national divorce is trending, when sitting members of Congress are talking about this, when in the Boston Globe they discussed a war game for 2020, where Democrats said if Trump wins, they would encourage the West Coast to secede from the Union. How is none of that on track for a civil war? My point is just this. Tremendous respect to Joe. I appreciate, the shout out just in the passive conversation. But I stand by what I've said 100%. I don't know what form the Civil War will take. When Joe says it's some kind of battle of ideas, that's called fifth generational warfare. And that may be the extent to which the Civil War exists. And then we'll get the weaponization of law enforcement to go and start rounding people up and arresting them. There's a couple potentialities. Weimar Germany. Not really a civil war, but a conflict between communists and Nazis, and it resulted in Nazis winning. There wasn't an overt civil war, it was just domination. The Spanish Civil War went on for some time. The fascists didn't just take over, they fought a civil war and then eventually won. It could play out either of these ways. You could say there's never going to be a civil war because the democratic entrenchment just dominates and they arrest and wipe out their political opponents. Thus, there wasn't a civil war. Just the rise of fascism. Or it can be more like Spain and fighting breaks out in resistance. I don't know. Can't tell you, man. But I can tell you the media is spitting in your face, lying, and the institutions are just driving a wedge deeper and deeper every single day with fake news stories like what the Washington Post is putting out. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.